You may have seen a Windows PC. You may have seen a Windows laptop. You may have seen a Windows tablet cross-dressing as a laptop. You may have seen a Windows what? A Windows phone. Yeah, that was a thing. This is the Nokia Lumia 520, an averagely spec'd phone for 2013 that ran Windows Phone operating system version 8.1. This is not your average Android phone, in fact far from it. In terms of hardware, this phone was pretty average for the time, featuring a dual-core Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Plus running at 1 GHz plus a whopping 512 MB of RAM. On the front of this device, you'll find that it has a relatively small 4-inch IPS LCD display with a rather disappointing resolution of 480 by 800, giving you a pixel density of 233 pixels per inch. The display on mine is in rough condition, but somehow it still works. On the bottom of the Lumia 520 we have a standard micro USB port, and on the top we have a port that we don't see too often nowadays. Alright, so without further ado, let's start it up. Now the hardware is the least exciting part of the Lumia 520. The thing that made and still makes this device stand out today is the software. It's a little difficult to find carriers that still sell Windows phones today simply because they were short-lived and officially discontinued as of July 2017, so we have a fairly rare device with us today to review. Alright, so one common misconception is Windows Phone is based off Android. I can assure you this is everything but an Android phone. Windows Phone operating system version 8.1 was actually based off of the Windows NT kernel. Yes, the kernel you find in a desktop Windows computer. So yeah, this is officially running a Windows operating system. So one thing that I really like about Windows Phone was this whole UI, like this whole home screen. It's nice, it's simple, it's easy. You want to get all your apps, you just swipe over and there's all your apps. Considering that you can't really get apps for this anymore because it's so unsupported, it actually comes with a decent variety of pre-installed apps, which is nice. Heck, you have the entire Microsoft Office suite, and I mean, look at that animation. This is running on 512 megabytes of RAM. Keep that in mind. And it performs way better than any other phone I've seen running on 512 megabytes of RAM. This phone actually performs decently well even on its underpowered hardware, but the first thing I'd like to touch on is the camera of this device. It is a 5 megapixel shooter on the back here, and I believe it's capable of shooting up to 720p video. Now, one thing that I really like about the camera on this device is the fact that you have this. Guess what this button does? I'll give you a hint, it's not Bixby. You press it down all the way, and it opens up camera. And it's not just a button that opens camera. You hold this button down halfway, and it focuses. You push the button down all the way, and it takes a picture. Like, I'm kind of disappointed that they overlooked this feature and just said, you know what, it's just an extra button that we don't need. And to be completely honest, if my S10 had a dedicated camera button as opposed to the useless Bixby button, I would be way happier. That would actually be really nice. So let's get started by taking a few pictures with the camera and possibly shooting some video. Needless to say, the photo quality is passable, and it was enough to get the job done back in 2013. Alright, so now we're testing the stabilization and audio quality, and as you can tell, it doesn't have any stabilization whatsoever. And this is the garden, and I haven't actually heard the audio quality yet, so it's going to be interesting to see what that's like. Got some nice flowers right there. I believe that's rosemary, and I'm not sure what those are actually. They might be Brussels sprouts, I think. I have no idea. Well, we've got some garden gnomes down there. We have a fig tree, Thomas Jefferson's apple tree, and some blueberry plants, I think, and a nice little pine tree. But yeah, that is video quality on the Nokia Lumia 520. Alright, so now let's talk about actually trying to use the phone. When it comes to using Windows Phone operating system, you are extremely limited in terms of what you can do because Microsoft simply does not support Windows Phone anymore. Heck, trying to open Microsoft Store just gives you this loading screen for however long it takes to tell you that there's a connection error, and so basically you're at a lost cause when it comes to downloading any apps. However, what you can do is, if you have a SIM card in here, you can still use it as a messaging and phone call device if you really want to for some reason. Or if you set up your email account, I'm quite certain you can still use email on here. And if you want to browse the internet, well, you're going to have to suffer with Internet Explorer because, yeah, that's a thing on here. So there's a few websites that I would like to try out on here. So if I'm going to see if YouTube will load, and it's kind of hard to type on a broken screen. It's also hard to type while you're looking at the camera. And apparently YouTube is still usable on here, sort of, albeit very slow.
I told them. Got it. Hold on, dude. Hold on.
So if you can actually tap on the settings button, you are limited to, I believe, 360p. Yeah, you can go up to 1080p, but I guarantee this thing won't play 1080p without a horrendously laggy experience. But yes, YouTube playback is possible. Now another website that I want to try is Instagram. So sure enough, it looks like Instagram is loading. And, well, it sort of works. The web page is a little broken. It sort of works. I'm not going to try logging in because that would be a really painful experience trying to log back out again. But sure enough, I guess you can sort of use Instagram on here. A lot of web pages don't work properly with Internet Explorer nowadays. What a shocker. But yeah, you can do basic web browsing on here. Other than that, there's really not much you can do. You can use it as a calendar. Calendar is actually a fairly nice application on here. You have games, so in theory you could link up an Xbox 360 with this and play games or something. I don't know. Health and fitness, that's actually not pre-installed. You click on it and it'll redirect you to the Microsoft Store, which does not work. And maps, which I'm pretty sure doesn't work properly. You can play music on here, which is nice. You just have to plug it into a computer and transfer music files over, and you're golden. But that's about it. Sure, you can use OneNote, you can use Office, you can use OneDrive, I think. I don't know if it'll actually connect, but yeah. Skype you can't use because you have to download the newest version from the Microsoft Store. You can still use it as a calculator, so if you need to do a math problem like 2 plus 2 because you can't remember what that is, then yeah, it works as a calculator. And that is pretty much about it. You can take pictures, you can take notes. I'm pretty sure you can edit your photos. You know what, let's try that. So yeah, we do have a photo editor, but that is literally all you can do. You have the option to rotate, crop, and fix your photo, and that's about it. So yeah, Windows Phone is a bit of a lost cause, but I mean, it's cool. It was a cool concept while it lasted, but unfortunately those days are over. Alright, so I've tried recording this clip over 18 times now. Alright, so the reason Windows Phone never really took off was simply because developers just didn't seem very interested, and they didn't want to devote time and money into developing their apps for a whole other platform because A, we already had Android and iOS, so what's the point of having a whole other platform? And eventually the Microsoft Store for Windows Phone just ended up filling with cobwebs and tumbleweeds over time, and nobody really gave that much interest to Windows Phone. So eventually Microsoft accepted defeat and went back to doing their own thing, and they later came out with the Surface Pro, Surface Laptop, you know, all that good stuff that people love nowadays. So yeah, Windows Phone was a little bittersweet, I guess. It didn't go well, but it was cool at the same time. Eventually, Microsoft recovered back, and it seems like people are all over their new products, which is great, except Windows Phone just wasn't one of those products. But that's in the past, and Microsoft is doing well now. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, then give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, then I don't care. But yeah, thank you for watching, and as always, I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.